This presentation is brought to you by Smoooth Productions.
It is another wonderful Wednesday night sports delight because this is ladies' night.
Let your hands up when the beat drops.
Hey, happy hump day. And guess what? I'm not on mute. So, welcome to another edition of Ladies Night here on the Platform Sports Talk Show. It's your girl, Bunny. And yes, I still got the lopsided glasses. Hey, but no worries because we got so many good topics to talk about. The lopsidedness reflects this whole summer what's going on in the sports world. So, hope everybody's having a good time. Hey, we've cooled off. You know, we've gone through a heat wave over the last 2 weeks. We just cooled off. And I want to make sure that, hey, you want to comment, you got something you want to talk about? Just don't say, oh, let me say something. Do it. Make sure you are tuned into all social media platforms. Are on all social media platforms. And of course, we're also on Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot, hot. And we're also on Twitch, so all our shows that are archived, you can watch the replay on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. But of course, you're like, hey, buddy, you by yourself? Of course I'm not. But before we do that, it's the first Wednesday night, right, of the month. But it's ladies' night. But it's not the only show that we do with the Platform Sports Talk Show. The last Wednesday of the month, we had the fellas holding it down on the Man Cave. And in between the first Wednesday of the month and the last Wednesday of the month, Sports Talk Show, right? Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure y'all tune in. Leave all comments under the Platform Sports Talk Show. Facebook, IG, YouTube, Twitter. If I left anything else, my bad. But I want to make sure y'all know. Find a way to reach us, interact with us. We're going to have a great show tonight. Now, of course, like I just said, I'm not by myself. It's ladies' night. Can't have the panel just with me. So let's bring up the woman who brought a lot of controversy on our social media page. The one, the only, the craziest Pittsburgh Pirate fan / delusional Cowboys fan, Miss Annie. Come on down.
Hey, everybody.
And then what hat are we rocking tonight?
So tonight we are rocking an NFL alumni hat.
Okay.
Last Friday was my 1-year anniversary as a member of the NFL Alumni Association, which I have access to because of my participation in the Women's Football Alliance. And so to celebrate my 1 year, they gave me a little present. So that's what I'm rocking today.
Okay, that was nice of them. Okay. And so with this NFL alumni,
I've also got a mug too. So
what's that mug say? You know, I got 4 eyes. I
still can't see
mug. The mug matches the hat. Okay.
Yeah. So
she got 1 year under your
belt. Up, you know? It's nice.
Okay. I hope you like my introduction for you.
the craziest Cowboys fan and Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
Actually,
It's true.
crazy Pittsburgh Pirate fan, delusional Cowboys fan. There's a difference.
Both true. Both are accurate. So I don't mind it. But who was it on the Man Cave last time who was like, the Cowboys are going to shock the world? And then I was like, okay, Man Cave. And then Craig Black was talking about Caitlin Clark and compared Caitlin Clark fans to Dallas fans. And I was like, boo Man Cave. So now I'm back off it. I was going to be on it for a while because I heard some positivity about the Cowboys, and then the negative came back around. So I'm off
you
it.
can't throw the blackest man in radio under the bus like that. It wasn't him. It was actually Rio.
Oh, it was Rio who said that the Cowboys fans are similar to Caitlin Clark fans.
Man,
I thought it was Craig Black who said that. I thought it was Rio who said that Cowboys fans are going to shock the world. But yeah,
so maybe I got it mixed up. My bad. I think I mixed it up.
Because I had asked Smoooth, like, okay, so Craig Black said that they agreed with me about Caitlin Clark fans. And I said, well, did he get as much hate as I did for saying that? Did he go viral? So I guess we'll find out later in the show.
Gotcha. And our faithful viewer, Miss Williams. I messed up. She said hello.
Hi, Miss Williams.
Well, let me tell you, before we get to sipping on what's in our cups, we are panel, but we're not a panel 2. We're going to be panel 3 tonight. But you're like, hey, where's the other panelists? Before I bring her on, you got to throw this tidbit in here because you're just like, hey, I want to see what everybody's wearing today, right? You got the NFL alumni hat. I got my family union t-shirt. So we got to wonder why our next panelist is wearing what she's wearing. So let's throw a tidbit of a snippet of what this is coming from, and then we'll bring our panelist on.
All I'm saying, get the TR ready after the daddy-daughter dance to go ahead and crown me. I'm going to be the champion. Okay. The Pacers is going to sit there like, how did this happen? I'll be like, I told you, OKC got it. Some young Thunderbirds ready to get it, okay?
Producer, please remind me about this because she bunny over there real rocky cocky right now, okay? Please remind me because he knew I will have a whole t-shirt made with Bunny was wrong.
Hey, and if that does happen, let me get that shirt. So the next time I am right, I'll be like, you remember when you was posting this shirt? Now what? Okay. So yes, if that does happen and you get that made, okay, I'll get it off your hands because revenge is a mother. Remember that. Rocky cocky, all right.
So let's bring on our other panelist for ladies' night and make sure she has the right smile where she's wearing that beautiful t-shirt. She is going to be smelling from ear to ear. And she's going to say it loud and proud that Bunny was right. Come on down, Miss Jayonsa. Let's see what you're working with, honey. I see she's smiling ear to ears.
Now,
oh, see it for people.
I am a woman of my word, so here you go. Bunny was right, and I made sure the right font was very small. Okay, and WTH. What the hell? What the Heliante? What the Heli Levert? Halle Berry? All of them above. But it's all right. It's cool.
Hey, I never had to troll you.
This show is going to be for you.
Oh, I've heard because Bunny was right for the people in the back that didn't get the memo. So, Andy, I've never trolled you this way. She earned to wear that shirt, honey. Loud and proud. She's in ear to ear because Bunny was right. You know what? I should put that as my subtitle name. I'm going to work on that. But yes, Jayonsa, I love your attire. I love you smiling from ear to ear. Welcome.
Whatever.
Now, that is not the attitude to have of somebody that lost a bet because they didn't bet on Bunny when she said the Thunder were going to win it all.
Baby, that's okay. There will
Annie,
come a
I
time.
ain't never trolled you like this, okay? So listen, she got you beat when she just was loud and wrong, okay? Not loud and proud, loud and wrong. Mm.
Whatever. You was quiet there for a minute. Okay, Miss
Hey,
Dub. I was about to speak to you. I mean, I'll still speak, but we don't even gotta start off the show like this, you know? Let's
ma'am.
ease into it.
She was just admiring your attire. She loves that T-shirt. I mean,
Yeah.
it just brings out the
This is
smile in
my
you, you
official
know.
grass cutting shirt, painting shirt.
Ah, hey, listen, if you wore it to the store, they're gonna be like, "Who is Bunny? What she like?" I'm telling you, honey. And see, she likes the purple too. See, it's my favorite color, so it was a win-win. Okay, a win-win, just like what the Thunder did. Win-win. Mm.
I, I'm a woman of my word, so I'll
I
let
know.
you.
I mean, you just lost so much sleep when you realized, oh snap, the Thunder, they're gonna win it. And we're gonna come back to one of our topics on this championship. But I'm so happy for them. Small market teams. This actually wasn't a bad finals, but again, we'll touch on that topic. So let's go with what's in our cup. Let's go.
Start.
I know Andy got a mug. You got a cup, Miss Beyonce / Bunny
I
was
got
right,
this
t-shirt
little
wearer.
mini bottle because I had already came downstairs and I'm not going all the way back upstairs. So
Okay.
that's what we got.
Okay. Well, let's run with it, ladies. Who wants to go first? What's in their mini bottle or in their alumni mug there?
Right.
My alumni mug is just Gatorade. Gatorade Zero. I have to cut back on my sugar intake, and I was drinking most of my sugar. So it's Gatorade Zero in my new NFL alumni mug. Let's see if you can get it. Bam, right there. So that's it.
Okay. So, what does have your interest in? What is in that cup? Not figuratively now.
Right. All the NBA trades have been interesting. I don't think that I have kept up on everything, but some interesting moves, some unexpected moves. Um, the WNBA, you had the Commissioner's Cup. I went to my first WNBA game this past Saturday. I went to go see the Atlanta Dream play the Minnesota Lynx in Atlanta for Pride Night, and the game went to overtime. So it was a good first game, despite the Dream loss. But yeah, so that was like a great experience and atmosphere to be a part of. So really just all the NBA draft is very recent. So really just all things basketball at all levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go behind her because we share no sugar in our cups, but we I too went to my first WNBA game. Minnesota Lynx versus Connecticut Suns. When was that? Last Sunday. So it was amazing. Had a good time. The producer and my kid embarrassed all the life out of me, but we had a good time. They was extra turned up. Too much sugar was taken in earlier that day, but we had a good time. I liked the music. Like every time they scored or whatever, they was like, I know that's right. The look, whatever that is, Cardi B. So I loved all of it. I was here for it. The aggressiveness. What's her name? Courtney Williams. She was my excitement. She was life. She was balling. So had a good time. Great first game experience, and I picked out the seats by myself, and I got approval from the producer on the seats selected. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I love watching Courtney Williams play in person. She's so funny. Like I was rooting for the Dream, but I do love Courtney Williams, the show that she has with her partner Dejanay Carrington, where they just live stream. And sometimes it's like some of her teammates as well. It's hilarious. And she was it reminded me of, I think it was 2 weeks ago when me and Smoooth were talking about like having a villain on a team and the importance of like villains in the league. And
Mhm.
Courtney Williams was definitely trying to be a villain in that stadium, and she plays the part well. And it was so great to see her and secretly root for her, even though I was like rooting for the Dream, and to secretly root for Fee because I love Fee. She's amazing to like watch in person.
Mhm.
And to see so many like Dream players. And so I took my little sister and my little brother, and like my sister doesn't follow basketball as closely, and so she was like, I want to go. It seems like it'll be fun, but I don't know if I'll know anybody. And then when we see the lineups for both teams, it's like, oh, I know these people. Oh, I know her. Oh, I've heard of her. Oh, okay, I've heard mom talk about her. Like, and so it's just good that the WNBA is getting to a place where even casual people like know who's in the league and like know something about what's going on. And I think that that's a next level of sports fandom when it's not so niche that you have to be deep in the sport to have heard of who the big name players are. So it was great.
Yeah. Facts. Yes. Good times. Beat that, Bunny.
Oh, wait. We're going to have to compete all night now because you
All
found
day.
a wonderful shirt that says Bunny was right. Listen, it's called you to cheese from ear to ear all night. I'm just loving this, okay? It's just making you glow. So what's in my cup? I have a couple of topics, but I guess I'll say one of them because the WNBA is the sports world. I in all different parts of it. There's a lot going on there, so I'll come back to that. But 3 letters, STL. My local sports teams got people question like, what the hell is going on? STL, City SC. Y'all, they are still on a 4-game losing streak. What is going on with our soccer club? Season 1, we were destined for greatness, and then season 2 was like, and season 3, we're like, we can't get a win to save our lives. Like, we fired the coach, got an interim coach in. But honestly, I thought when they fired the coach, that wasn't going to solve the problem. I bet you it's the talent. We need some better forwards and some scorers. But St. Louis City SC Club, no bueno, y'all. It had me sad because we're losing. And while we're talking about those 3 letters STL, let's go to another St. Louis club, the Cardinals. Minus today's game, they're on a losing streak. We just swept the Guardians, and now we're losing. And I mean, when I say losing, like we're not getting on the scoreboard. We got shut out 2 games in a row. Like, what the hell? We're supposed to be making ground and trying to catch up with the Cubs, at least getting a second wild card spot. When we're losing and it's getting shut out, no bueno. So they had me sad. And then pivot over to St. Louis Blues. You're like, it's not hockey season. Correct. We're not in hockey season, but just like with the NBA's off season, they're running at the same time. So everybody is talking about free agency right now. The free agency market is open for NHL and NBA. So with the Blues, they really haven't done any moves. They did trade away this player, I forgot his name, but they're not really doing any roster moves. And it was like, why aren't we? We did a good run. We got it together later in the season, but we kind of snuck in the playoffs, almost went to the second round. And people are like, what's going on with the roster change? But they're not really doing any moves. So it's like, well, the Blues making the right move. They want to keep the core of what they have now and just go with that for next season, or should they get another semi big star? So I don't know, but yeah, STL baby, our sports teams right now not doing good, but the verdict's still out. We still have a whole 2 months plus of baseball left. And regarding the City SC, they still have time to turn it around. And let's see what the Blues do when preseason starts in September. So that is what's in my cup. All right. So, ladies, we got different topics to talk about. We got so much time. I definitely, again, we're going to come back to WNBA. It's multiple topics there, but let's start off with the NBA. As Annie mentioned, the NBA has, I don't know, the championship fever, not championship fever, champions of the Thunder, who I picked, that Jayon said knows I was right. keep her shirt. But it's questioned, hey, because there was a big time injury
Really?
for, the producer's going to keep zooming in on that shirt because it's very, very important to the show tonight. Just FYI. But regarding the championship game, the Thunder won. Congrats. However, game 7, the opponent, they had a Pacers star, Halliburton got injured. He actually got injured in game 6 with a calf injury. And then go to game 7, he all bad, Achilles tendon torn, right? So with that, he couldn't go do anything. And of course, the Thunder won and they're champions. So now, should there be an asterisk next to that NBA championship? The last time this was mentioned was in 2020 when the Lakers won the NBA championship. And that was the year of the bubble. Again, should there be an asterisk? Or, I mean, you guys tell me, should there be an asterisk on this current championship for the Thunder or any other championships in the past do you think deserves an asterisk?
So I would definitely say no. I don't think any championship deserves an asterisk unless it's proven that there was a cheating scandal or excessive use of like non-standard PEDs or something like that. Otherwise, part of the championship is weathering storms, is navigating challenges. In all sports, a lot of it comes down to either who's healthier or whose like team is deeper or more flexible at the end of it, and not just a straight like one-up talent. There's been so many championships before where a star player was hurt. And not just in terms of like the championship game, maybe there's a player who, I mean, you think about that Warriors run where like Clay gets hurt, then Durant goes down, and then it's like the what ifs around that. But that's just part of the season. It's not that that championship wasn't earned. So I don't think there's any asterisks to championships, including the bubble championship. Like, I think it would be incredibly hard to focus on basketball during a global pandemic at a time where we knew that NBA players' families were affected and they couldn't be there with them, that people had to do things like train at home and not everybody had the same setup. And so that was probably one of the harder championships to win because of all the abnormalities, the concern and worry, the mental stress of a pandemic. So no, I don't think that any championship deserves an asterisk just because a player was hurt. I mean, as someone who's a Clippers fan for like 3 years, it was like, well, if Kawhi was healthy the whole time, okay, but he wasn't. So it's not like we put an asterisk on those Western Conference finals because Kawhi didn't play. It's not like we put a asterisk on Cleveland's championship because Draymond Green got the technical in game 5 and they lost. And then that precipitated them like coming back from down 3-1, right? So I think this idea of like asterisks on championships is ridiculous as a concept for people who argue that, because being healthy at the right time is as much a part of the game as skill and talent and all those things. So no.
All right, Jayonsa, what you think?
I'm like, I'm giving him an asterisk, but I have no substantial facts. And he just ran down like a logical answer, but the petty in me, I'm going with the asterisk, but just because, again, the petty in me. I will say asterisk or whatever you want to call it. Yes, the healthiness of all the teams in the entire league is they just had a better opportunity to be set up this season than other teams. So whether you want to call it an asterisk or not, but congrats to them or what have you. But yeah, I'm still gonna talk my ish, and I will say if Halliburton was healthy, then Bunny would be wearing this shirt right now instead of me.
Just let the audience know that's not one, but 2 lies by her. So with that,
Actually, I don't totally disagree. I think if he had the way that Game 7 was going initially before he went down, I'm not saying that OKC couldn't have won, but I don't think the game goes the way that it goes if Halliburton is even just still playing with a strain from Game 5, because they ended up winning in Game 6 anyway. But him being completely out, I think, you know, turned the tide on the game. That's not to say that people can't win without their best player. I mean, the Indiana Fever are Commissioner Cup champions. Caitlin Clark didn't play. So it's not to say that you are completely out of it once your best player goes down. But I wouldn't be so quick to say that, like, this was a guaranteed outcome, even if Halliburton played after watching how he played at the start of Game 7.
but that's where we could say that yes, if he would have stayed in the game, of course the game would have been a little different. That still does not mean they would have won because they wouldn't have. Look at this. Now, Jayonce mentioned she don't have facts. I don't have the stats right in front of me from game 1 to game 7, but you could tell. I butchered his name. Siakam is actually, to me, I won't say a better scorer than Halliburton, but his presence is definitely known. Now he didn't have a good game. He had an okay game, but y'all looking at Halliburton was over 6 before he went down. That proves it. Why y'all talking like, oh yeah, the difference. He was over 6. And
No,
this
he
is
only
game
had back
six.
to back
In
threes
game
before he went
six,
down. Oh, in Game 6.
game
Okay.
6 over
Okay.
6 before he went down.
Okay, one
So
Game 6.
yeah, so he could have turned it on because game 1 the Pacers did come back and beat the Thunder. However, that went all on Halliburton. That was the boy that was hitting them threes. So there's that.
Yeah, but Halliburton's 0 for 6 is different than other point guards 0 for 6 because
Ma'am,
Halliburton's greatest attribute to the team is his distribution and the way in which he spreads the defense out. And
but that
so,
still makes a difference. It is proven. Look at the stats. When Halliburton's on the floor, is it a plus or minus? So if he's on the floor, you need him if y'all are going to win. He cannot be on the floor for y'all to win. Win. I'm just saying. It's proven. So the point is, we can say, oh, this and that. There's no asterisk needed. The Thunder won outright. Oh, is that my connection?
no.
Okay. Okay, my
Doing
screen went
great.
blank. Anyway, point is, they would have won anyway. Game 7, Halliburton there or not. We know the defense is good on both sides, but at the same time, look, there were some blowouts too. So home field advantage made a difference
On
too.
both ends.
Right.
It's making
So I just saying, we know you think, oh, Indiana won 6, they're gonna get game 7 on the road. We know the odds is not the best, but in general, if Halliburton was there, would they have won still? No. It's just, it is what it is. There's no asterisk needed. Now we could set an asterisk from the bubble year. Let's take it way back to Tim Duncan and the Spurs, the shortened lockout NBA season. People put an asterisk with that one. And I'm like, that was a shortened season, maybe, but champions are champions. So everybody deal with injuries because this whole Eastern Conference road to the finals would have been different. If why? Tatum wouldn't have gotten hurt. Look how much he expects Boston.
speaking
He
of
had
who wouldn't have won,
Achilles heel,
even if
so
he wasn't hurt, the Celtics wouldn't have won, even if Tatum wasn't hurt.
I'm not saying they would have won, but who to say the Pacers wouldn't got as far as they did. Just like the Cavaliers. Mitchell was healthy, but his surrounding teammates that he needed were injured. Again, that affects the road to the championship. So we could say that's why when people say, well, such and such was injured. Yes, it makes a difference, but other people got injuries on their teams too that are affected. Where that person got injured in the playoffs or even in the regular season where they couldn't go all out in the playoffs. I mean, this is a dog fight. We know the NBA regular season is 82 games. Add all that mileage on in the playoffs. Somebody's bound to get something not good with them. But
Right. That's why I
it's
said
over
the whole
territory.
season is looked at with that because there was a lot of people that were not healthy. So will OKC really be where they are at if everybody was healthy? No, maybe not. Right. So that's the whole point.
Yeah, because if the argument is that if Tatum doesn't go down, maybe there's an opportunity for the Celtics to come back against the Knicks, which I don't think would have happened. And if you think that if you think that the Celtics are a better matchup against the Pacers and they wouldn't have made it, whatever. At the same time, I mean, I think Golden State would have given OKC more problems if they were healthy than what Minnesota put up. Like Minnesota was completely outmatched in that, and I think so. Yeah. So I agree with Bunny that I don't think any asterisks are needed for any championships for the reason that I said to start with. I do not agree with Bunny that even if Halliburton wasn't hurt, that OKC definitely would have won. That was just not the way that things were going prior to Hallie going down. So
I agree. And shouts out to Tina. I think I saw who
that's my mama.
Oh, hey mama. Who said if Halliburton it did take the win out, I was praying that at halftime they was gonna see him and just like get the battery in their back to go ahead and win, but it happens.
Yeah. And then I think the guys that Halliburton was cooking and opens up 3-point shooting for everyone is why they couldn't hit threes in the second half. Completely agree. Like and Miss Williams says the chances of everybody being healthy at the end of an 82 game season or something. Absolutely. But yeah, in terms of the point about Halliburton, like it's not that they necessarily needed his scoring. They need his facilitation. And they need the fact that he spaces the floor. Because with McConnell in there, one, McConnell's not going to shoot the three. So you can leave, basically back a defender off of him to help cover a wing or down inside. And that his scoring move is to go inside into the basket. And that he is more willing to score first than to facilitate. Halliburton seems to always looking to be pass first. And so with all the motion and stuff that they have, and you have to keep somebody on him, you can't just let him pull up for three, because he has ridiculous range and he can hit the shot, regardless of how many he's missed up to that point. It keeps the defense honest, and it opens up other people. One miss on a switch and you got Obi Toppin in the corner for three, or you got Siakam open for three, or you got Naismith open for three. And you saw that those guys didn't eat the same way in game 7, when McConnell's your primary point instead of Halliburton. So yeah, the game goes very differently with him there, even if he doesn't have a ton of scoring. That's just not the type of point guard that he is. So yeah.
Agreed.
The other thing that I wanted to say, going back one topic with Bunny being disappointed in St. Louis teams, is that this past Saturday, the St. Louis Slam won their playoff game, and they are now playing in the conference final, July 12th. So you can't lump all St. Louis teams together, because the St. Louis Slam are on their way to play the Minnesota Vixen at home. So if you're in St. Louis, go to the championship game. It's at home. The Western Conference Final is in St. Louis at St. Mary's High School on July 12th. So go if you want to see a team win. If you want to see a good St. Louis team, then go to the conference championship, where they will play the Minnesota Vixen for the 4th year in a row, I think it is, in the Western Conference Final. And have a chance to take on either Pittsburgh or DC from the Eastern Conference for the championship, again, which will be broadcast on ESPN2 in July. So, yes, not all.
Thanks for that PSA.
It's a preeminent St. Louis team.
Thank you for mentioning that. My apologies. I left the Slam out. PSA now. So you said July 12th, St. Mary's?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure
we got one. Go ahead.
Thank you. The ladies holding it down for the city of St. Louis. Thank you, Slam. Got you. All right. So with that, let's do another segue with women again. Now the hot topic, WNBA. Woo! Where do we start with this one? All right. I'll start one that had me like, what? So the announcement came out yesterday. The WNBA is going to add 3 new teams to the league.
Bunny went out, did she?
Uh-oh. Am I
There
back?
we go. You're back.
Okay. So Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia will be the next 3 franchises added to the WNBA. And I was a little hurt because, rumor came out last year that Jason Tatum was working with some people behind the scenes that have money to bring a WNBA franchise to St. Louis. So with that momentum, I'm thinking, okay, we'll probably be one of the teams to get blessed with one of the cities to get blessed with a team. But nope, we're left off the list. Doesn't mean we won't ever get one, but we're not in the running the next 4 years. So there was a coach from what WNBA coach was that she was giving backlash on how did the WNBA come up with these 3 cities. She's like, this is what they came up with. Like they didn't ask us. She wasn't feeling these next 3 cities to get the organization. Oh, y'all, I'm so sorry. What is her name? Point is, I want to know what are y'all thoughts of the league expanding and St. Louis not being included. Even though, Annie, I know you're not here, St. Louis, but as far as with Tatum, he thought he would have some momentum to give us a team. What are your thoughts on us getting slighted? And what do you think about these cities getting a WNBA team?
So I don't think St. Louis was slighted. Do y'all support the Surge? Are the Surge still a thing?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so
Kalia. Yes.
Right. So speaking of like teams in St. Louis that people don't support, I feel like the Surge doesn't get enough publicity. So I wouldn't necessarily want to bring like a WNBA team there. I'm indifferent to the cities. I think the positive aspect of the expansion is that there's more opportunities for women to play. I think every year with the draft and then the start of the WNBA season, there's so many cuts of players who maybe you followed in college and you knew that they were good, and you see that they're getting cut. And people are like, why did they get cut? I thought they would be good. And they probably were. But there's shorter rosters in the WNBA and there's fewer teams. So there's just not enough spots for everybody who's like really talented to play. And so what the expansion allows is for more people to get a first shot. I think the success of the Valkyries right now, who are doing extremely well, who's the newest WNBA team, I think gives them hope for expansion. I think in a lot of cases, especially how expansion teams have been configured in recent years, you're seeing a lot of immediate success with expansion teams because of how the leagues decide how they come about their players. So we saw this in hockey with the Vegas Golden Knights, like they were right out the gate good because of how the NHL configures expansion teams. I think we see that with the WNBA. So I think that those teams will be good. I think we'll see more people who people have heard of and followed in college getting their opportunity to play in the NBA, in the WNBA because of the expansion. So I think overall it's a good move. No downsides.
I totally agree that I don't think St. Louis is ready for a WNBA team. Maybe down the line, but no. And basically to your point, like I've been to other team games here and it's empty. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing? And I don't think that they'll have the support that's needed to get a actual WNBA team here. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't mad to not see them on the list because no, I don't think we're ready for that just yet. I was listening to a show though to see. I am like curious about other like maybe like a Florida or some other state that or city that's more popular that would attract more players to actually want to go there too. That they were not on the list. Like Philly to me, I love Philly, so I'm good with that. But Yeah, I think could be it'll be some other ones on the list before we make it to St. Louis. So
I
I,
only think you have to. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I think Kansas City would get one before St. Louis. I do. Just
Okay. Okay.
so
So I guess I just need to know what is the criteria how they pick the cities, because you don't have to have a current NBA team. As you see, the Connecticut Sun doesn't fall in that category. Now we have teams have moved. You think about the Seattle Storm; they don't have an NBA team in their city right now either. So I just want to know what's the criteria. How do they pick it? A market size does help, but again, I guess you want to count where the Connecticut Sun play. That's northeast, and that's like an overflow of maybe the tri-state area of New York, Philly, and Jersey. I'm not sure, but just curious. But I mean, some of these cities, it makes sense. I just said slighted just because it was talks. Of course, it doesn't mean it's a guarantee. And as I stated, doesn't mean St. Louis won't be on there down the road. Now, Beyonce think can see to get one before we do. Maybe, maybe not. A lot of things happen at the last minute that you would be surprised at. So anyway, we'll be in the discussions on the next time they do expansion. Now, another WNBA topic, you all. This one is, I want to say it's a catch-22. So we know about everybody's, like Caitlin Clark. You can't mention WNBA, it seems like, in the mainstream media without Caitlin Clark's name mentioned. But my thing is, lately, when I've been seeing these highlights, with the apps that give you breaking news and anything with the WNBA, and it's not just with Caitlin Clark, it's always about an altercation or somebody getting into it. Now, it's sports, it's competitive. It doesn't matter your gender. Naturally, people, if you're competing against each other, somebody's gonna tick somebody off, somebody's gonna get in their feelings, and tempers get flared, pushing, shut, whatever. It's part of the sport, no matter your gender. So I don't understand those. Like, for we're trying to promote the WNBA, it's growing on its own with the help of the rivalry, the media help with the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, Asia Wilson being dominant. And we can take it back to the WNBA vets if we want to. But my point is, why does it seem like lately the narrative you keep reading about is some altercation or somebody getting into it? Like, this is women's sport, but that doesn't mean that's defining the game to watch. Or let's let me tune in because, they got into it. Listen, we want to see two competitive teams or two good teams or somebody dominate, great. But we don't have to keep mentioning that. But if that's the narrative they want to spin and help get viewership, those women are ballers. I don't think you need to mention they got into it. I mean, if I could just bring up the breaking news that kept coming across my screen the last 3 days, I'm like, when did it become to this? If you told me at halftime somebody had 20 points, halftime, such and such is on the way to triple-double, that's what I want to see. Not, they got into it. We got to get separation. 3 people got thrown out the game. I don't know. But maybe it's me. Y'all can think like they need that. I don't know. But that's just something lately I've noticed the narrative that's spinning about the WNBA. We got to keep talking about who's getting into it. So, am I tripping? Tell me.
That's just social media in general. Like, they got us, the controversy, that type of stuff is what gets it being talked about. So therefore, I feel like they doing what they do with anything else. Like, everything is just about the drama, the mess. Not saying it should be, but it is what it is. But I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I ain't gonna say I'm here for the messiness, but it's come across my feeds and stuff a lot more as well too. Cause I was like, ooh, but I'm more like, I can relate because I forgot who it was. It was a game. She got fouled or something, but she was like so mad. She like ran off the court. And I was like, ooh, I've been that mad before. So I didn't take it like a messiness. I was like, oh, I can relate. And I wonder how you do that. Cause I already told the producer here that I don't think I could play a sport because I don't have a good sportsmanship conduct. Like, I'm gonna be mad. I'm not doing all that. I'm gonna be going off on my teammates probably. So I was like, so I don't take it no kind of way.
So you don't know how to turn it on and off?
You say what?
You don't know how to turn it on and off. I'm going to be mad, aggressive, push you around. You point finger in my face on the court. As soon as you go in the locker room, you just can't leave it on the court. You don't know how to turn it off.
I'm not that mature yet. No. 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 Got a little work still.
You let the pettiness continue on. She said,
yeah. Especially if I get quiet, then it's you should be scared. Like the more I talk, then we cool. But if I get quiet, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, I couldn't do that and just be like, okay, and shake it off. No.
Miss Dub said people still don't expect women to be aggressive in sports, so they make a big deal of it. Which is crazy. Like I said, we're human. Women are human, men are human. Well, whatever gender you go with, you're still human, and emotion is there. How you express it is different, but everybody has it. No one is listen. I don't know why women's supposed to get a pass.
Yeah.
Because you take it out of sports, taking this out of our house and taking this at the job, depending on where you work, hey.
that happens, but that happens in professional settings. Like at my job, one of the male VPs told my boss, who's a Black female VP, that I had a meltdown. And then that was like trigger words for her, because like, why, when I raise my voice, I'm having a meltdown, but this guy is from Philly, so he already talked loud and rah-rah anyway. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm matching energy. I'm not having a meltdown. Like, so it's just, that's how I feel like women are treated regardless of your profession or in every arena of life. So.
Yeah, I think that some of it isn't even I think some of it is about the women themselves. I think a lot of it is if you are getting sports media from the same place on women's sports, from the same places that you're getting it from male sports, you are likely to have a bunch of male people in charge. So a bunch of male commentators, a bunch of male producers. And so sports as an entertainment product for men is like a soap opera. That's why so many of them like wrestling. Like they like the drama, and like it's them getting to be messy and catty and all those things without it seeming like effeminate. But I mean, Stern basically legislated any type of like altercations on the field after the Malice in the Palace. So the NBA, which is like one of the primary sports that's going on, and the U.S. doesn't care enough about hockey to follow like the fights that happen literally every game in hockey. Whenever Draymond Green does something, it leads SportsCenter, it leads all news coverage, and we have to talk about like, is he too violent and all this other stuff. Once the NFL gets into the second part of their off season and they start doing joint practices, all you'll see is fights and skirmishes that happen at joint practices. And so like men do like to talk about men fighting and being catty as well. And so I think if you are tuning into like male driven networks, which a lot of the major networks are, then it's going to be covered in the same way. They're going to be attracted to the same things that attract them to some of the other sports. But if you listen to women who know the WNBA, like Monica McNutt or Elle Duncan, right? Like the first thing that they go to is like analysis of play, right? And so I think that part of it is you also need to differentiate where you get your coverage of women's sports. So after anything happens, after a night in the WNBA, on like the ESPNs and the Foxes and all that other stuff, I'll see coverage of who got into it in fights. But there's a lot of like women's sports commentators and people who cover like the WNBA specifically, who do lead with like, a lot of it right now is Paige Buckers, because rookie year campaign going crazy, right? But I mean, a lot of the debates on those are like, who's the rookie of the year? And is this the greatest rookie class in WNBA history? And the discussion is different because they're not catering to a male dominant audience. They're not leading from a male dominant perspective, whether or not the people who follow those sites are male or not. And so I think it changes the coverage. So part of what we have to do is just diversify where we get our sports coverage and entertainment from, if we don't want it to just be mired in the same stories that men are attracted to in male sports too, which is often fighting, cattiness, crime, who people are dating, all that other stuff.
Right. Because I feel like I saw a lot about, what's his name? Dwight Howard. With he got in a fight with somebody, I forgot who he was playing, but the Big Three League, and they was all, so I don't know if I feel like we just look at it more because it is their portrayal that is more barbaric. I seen the word, Mama Tina, barbaric, when it's women doing it, and it's just something new to like a new fans, new audience. So then it's like, oh, but most of the comments I see, they're like, oh, she clapping back, or they standing 10 toes or what have you. So I think it's just the same. I think we just not maybe used to seeing it as much. So now it becomes the topic.
Yeah, like over the weekend, Adrian Peterson got in a fist fight over like a card game in somebody's private home, and that was all over my social media page. Like this,
right. I missed that one, but I mean,
Yeah. So I mean, the fight is the draw for a lot of people.
Is that more preferred by the fans, not the all-in basketball fan, but just people who could be casual? Okay.
Yeah, it's the soap opera element. So it's the who's dating who's having children by who's fighting who, and who's committed crimes recently.
It's all entertaining, right? So and
then you might get some like analysis on like the structure of contracts and what does it mean for this team to go, like why it was the right move for Boston to get rid of Drew Holiday and Porzingis, because they would be going into the second apron for the third year in a row. And after you go in 3 years, you can only go in for 5 total years. And so they're like, people don't want to hear that. They want to
hear about Mike Brown being hired as a Knicks coach. Do they care about that storyline? Mike Brown's had 2 different Coach of the Year awards, and he's with 5 different organizations, and the Knicks are taking a gamble on him, or is he taking a gamble on the Knicks? They want to know that storyline.
They're gambling on each other. That's what two broken people getting together after a bad breakup. It's like mutual destruction.
Give me that tea, girl. Give me that tea.
It makes no sense. It really is like 2 people who got out of like hard relationships who are just like, let's just be bad together. And yeah,
like, we gonna see if they're gonna be together in 6 months. Like, we gonna want
who stopped unfollowing who on social media, right?
Yeah, like let's go get matching tattoos after 3 days because we're gonna be toxic for each other. Like that's what that relationship seems like to me. It's not
toxic situationship.
It really is.
Have here.
Mike Brown is clearly U-hauling it, and it's just like, let me go get in this really deep, intense relationship with someone who just ended a long-term relationship in which they thought they were going to get married, and now we're just going to go be bad together. And so I don't think it's the right move. Not only do I not think it's the right move, I don't think it's an improvement over what was missing with Tibbs being present. And so I don't understand what you think you would get out of Mike Brown that gets you over the hump that Tibbs couldn't.
Right.
I don't think there's any evidence to that. I get that Mike Brown is known for being good at the people stuff, and it seems like the players who were left there want someone who does more of the people stuff well than Thibodeau does. But like make him an assistant coach who
Right,
like
because you're talking about the people stuff, that's not going to equate to a championship. Now, let's backtrack with Mike Brown. Was that 2 years ago with the Kings? He was on the way to turn that organization around and get them back on the winning ways. And then they had that bad losing streak, and then he got the walking papers. He couldn't get a whole season in. I was like, damn, how that relationship get so toxic so fast? Like, what? So people stuff don't get, I don't think it equates championships. But what do I know? I'm not a GM. I'm not in the front office. But working with people, like we mentioned earlier, in our professional career, we work with people. And we know some people just like, no matter what department you move them to, no matter what title you get, they're still that same person. And that same BS that they cause here, will cause it there. But, you know, why now? Crazy.
Yeah.
So again, we're still on the WNBA topic. The All-Star ballots have been counted per se, and this is interesting. And I'm not sure in the other major sports do they do it where you have, you know, the fans vote, you had the players vote. I know that, but the disparity of, let's just say if the fans voted, let's use another sport, let's use NBA. Fans voted LeBron first. Give me somebody. Giannis second, and let's say SGA third, right? Mm-hmm. So if the players voted, if it did it like SGA first, LeBron second, and somebody third, that don't seem too off. But with the WNBA ballots, it's a big disparity. I haven't seen this before, unless it's just before my time. So your girl Caitlin Clark, and I say your girl being funny, Annie, she got first by the fans, third place voting by the media, but ninth by the players, which are her peers. Mm-hmm. You go from 1 to 3, that's, I can take that. But 1 to 9, that's a hell of a disparity, y'all. Like, what gives? And we know the controversy last year, which I don't think it was Caitlin's fault. It's kind of like she got thrown into something and didn't realize the scope with the gender and the race of the WNBA players. Now we got that. She caught up to speed. She knows how to handle that part of media relations. But what is the beef or what's the issue to where players can love her just for what she does on the court? And is it her personal stuff that some of the players don't like and they put her as ninth? I'm trying to figure out why is there such a big disparity. Please, y'all have insights, do share.
So Caitlin Clark has missed 9 games so far this season. And I don't remember exactly how many games the Fever have played, but I think the team in the WNBA has played the most games, has played 18. And I don't think it's the Fever. So Caitlin Clark has missed 50% of the games. If she were in the NBA, she wouldn't even be eligible for the All-Star ballot or for any season awards because they implemented like the thresholds of how many games people have had to have played to be considered for different things. So I don't think it's some like big mystery other than the fans are going to vote for who they like. Like LeBron James has led All-Star voting almost every year. I think maybe Steph Curry has maybe been first a couple of times, but he's led almost every year, like since like forever, regardless of how he's played. And he's been consistently good, but he hasn't consistently been like the number one player in the league. So fans vote for who they like. I think the media vote based on like talent for the most part, like who they think in a vacuum is the best at a particular position. And I think the players know, I mean, if you even look at the NBA this year, like Halliburton was voted the most overrated. And now we're talking about whether or not he was the difference maker and who won the championship this year. So in the same year, he was both overrated and potentially changed the course of NBA history with his Achilles tendon, changed the course of NBA history. So I just think it's very different when you ask players. I think they know people's weaknesses. I think that they value things in different ways. And I also think that they probably considered the fact that she hasn't even played half the games to this point. So it's hard to have her leapfrog other people who have been playing and have had really great years based on just if you're looking at this as not as like who's the greatest of all time, but if you're looking at this as who has played the best so far this season, I think that makes sense for somebody who's only played 50% of the games.
I missed the memo. When was Halliburton voted or said he was overrated for the
He
whole
was
season?
voted this year by the NBA players. He was voted the most overrated NBA player this year.
Really?
Yes.
We were talking about that during the All-Star game, I think, right? Or something.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing about that. But yeah.
So, okay, remember, I know this got mentioned during the Eastern Conference Final. Remember, Siakam got the MVP and not Halliburton. So people thought it should have been the other way around. But the stats prove Siakam did his job. I think I won't get on the overrated part, but Halliburton, his personality is loud. He does put up offensive numbers. Yes, he leads he's the floor general, but his personality is loud. And so that may have some type of way to, again, now you said the whole season by All-Star break, they're talking about him being overrated. I didn't know it was that bad, but I just see him as being a star, but he won't get superstar level at this age and that what he's done. I don't see him I think he's reached his ceiling. There's nothing wrong with that because he's still needed on his team no matter where he goes, but he'll make this team better. But he's not going to get a LeBron status, or he's not even going to get a Steph status, or even, let's just say, an SGA status. But overrated, I wouldn't say that, but again, I'm not a player. But going back to initially what you're talking about with this whole Caitlin Clark disparity. So her missing a season, fans who the All-Star voting, generally it is for the fans, right? And at the same time, I guess it's for the player to put it on their resume. So for her not playing half those games and she's still getting top pick, that's what the fans like. But the players see otherwise. I mean, again, she still look at those numbers. So she's doing something right. Whether you're villain, lover, hater, she's doing something right. But I guess her peers are just like, nope, you still need to earn it. You remember this time last year we were talking about she didn't make the Olympic squad and that kind of all that controversy. And I feel like she shouldn't have made it either because she needed to prove herself. Boom. Wait, who is this guy? He said SGA is overrated. Whoa. We're going to keep toggling back and forth. NBA I see here.
I just dropped the cash out. No, just like
oh no, JR say,
It's a discussion worth having for sure.
Mm-mm.
But no, so I think the fan vote is essentially who is your favorite player. And I think that's what it should be. I think saying that like fans can't vote unless they've watched the entire season and all the games and broken down the film and all that other stuff, that's wild. So, I mean, she's a fan favorite. She has a huge contingency of fans. And even if she plays 0 games, it's well within their right to say she's my favorite player. It's an exhibition game, so it's fair to say she's who I want to see in an exhibition game. I don't know in the WNBA how like making all-star teams impacts their contracts. Like I don't know what incentives they have for it or not. So I don't know if people feel like it's playing with their money for like her to get votes for only playing half the season or whatever. But from a fan perspective, absolutely vote for your favorite player, vote as many times as you can and want. And if that's who you want to see in a one-time exhibition game, and that's who is going to be your draw, then absolutely vote for her. I think players, again, know each other's games better. I think across any sport, when you talk to players about other players, you get very different answers from them than you do from like fans or media about like who was the hardest to guard or who do you think is the purest scorer or all those other things. Like the answers that players come up with are extremely different than what like fans come up with or what they would think. I don't think it's leftover resentment from the WNBA players towards her. I think if she had played all year, had truly demonstrated that she was, in fact, the best guard this year, right? So this is on this year. This is not who's your favorite player. This is not who's the greatest of all time. This is based on play of 15 to 18 games, of which she has missed half. I don't think you can then say, well, maybe players resent her. I think if she had like played all the games and had been doing the things, like just been killing it, and players still put her ninth, then I think you could look to some other explanation. I just don't think that the players' votes are different than fans' votes, because fans are voting for just who they like in general. They're also voting for, because if that's the case, then let's analyze who they didn't put high on the list in terms of fan votes, in terms of who was absolutely great, but fans may just not know them, or fans just haven't been following them, right? So like, if you're going to analyze, are fans overvoting for her, then you need to analyze, are they undervoting for other people? But I think the fan vote serves the purpose it's supposed to serve, which is who's your favorite player. That's not what the player vote is for in any sport. So I think this goes back to how we view women and wanting to assign or ascribe to these athletes how stereotypes and generalizations that people have about women in general. I didn't hear anybody say that the reason why Halliburton got voted the most overrated player in the NBA is because he played on the Olympic team last year and they didn't. No one said that it's probably just secret resentment because they wanted to be on the Olympic team and they didn't get to. And so now they resent him and they're going to rate him the most overrated because he didn't get much run in the Olympics. He got more than like Jason Tatum to some extent, but he didn't get much run in the Olympics. And so people could be jealous and be like, well, I wish I could have just like been on the team. I could have just worn warm-ups and sat on the bench and did whatever and not done that. And because I didn't get to, I'm going to vote him the most overrated. Like, I didn't see any of that discourse. And so to try to bring that into women's sports, I think is just playing into some stereotypes of how we think that have been put upon us about how women behave, to assume that because someone still says that someone is the ninth best having played only half the games is somehow some underlying jealousy or resentment. I don't think there's a basis for that.
Ooh.
Right.
Like that. I didn't think about it like that, but that is true because nobody, made those comments like you said about anybody else. Or when we look at the NBA, it's not a jealousy thing or a resentment thing or you got to do this, none of that. But just society when it comes to women, we do put those labels. But that was good.
You know what? That was good because Annie knows we're definitely about to bring up the famous, not rebuttal, but back and forth of Caitlin Clark fans and your comments. So let's cue up this back and forth, and then we're going to let Annie take over and talk about this rebuttal.
What I don't like is I strongly dislike Caitlin Clark fans. I feel indifferent about Caitlin Clark as a person. Mm-hmm. I think she's great and exceptional as a basketball player. I deeply hate her fans because anytime the Fever and the Sky play, if Angel Reese breathes near Caitlin Clark, her fans take to social media to call Angel Reese an animal, talk about how she's a thug, all this stuff. And even with her getting her hair pulled and like getting in the girl's face, it was like a little hand touch. It wasn't even like what we saw with old girl from the sun, like laying Caitlin out or whatever. It was the discourse under those posts on sports pages was about how Angel Reese is violent, she's a thug, and really leaning in hard to like Black stereotypes. posts that talked about those two incidents in the Fever Sun game were either how much Caitlin Clark is bullied, our princess fell to the floor, and like how take that woman to jail. That was an assault. Or it was the clip about Sophie praising Sophie for standing up for her teammate, for fighting the girl and like being like staying ready. Sophie got hands, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't like that when white women are violent, it's seen as less aggressive. It's seen as less impactful. It's seen as entertainment. But even a marginal fraction of that contact from Black women is painted as this is a league full of thugs. Angel Reese is a thug, and it's like super violent, and the refs need to do something, and all this other stuff. And so I hate the discourse that Caitlin Clark fans initiate around anytime she gets touched. Yeah, so like, what's the question? I co-sign me. I stand on what I said. Like, what's the discourse? What's the question?
So my question is two things. Number two, are Swifties and the Beehive equivalent to the Caitlin Clark fans? And number one, with that statement and after all the back and forth, are you feeling like, all right, I said what I said, or like maybe I could have switched up and said it a different way?
So the first point, no. I said what I said. I meant it the way I said it. I should have said more of it. And I have zero regrets, retractions, edits, anything that I said. So that's an absolute no. Two, are they similar to Swifties and the Beehive? No, because I think a lot of their fans have parasocial relationships with Taylor Swift and Beyonce, where they feel like they actually know them. They know them on a deeper level, that what they do speaks to them, where they have some sort of connection. And so they like get it in their head that this person like knows them and cares about them and are like, that's my best friend in my head, and like those sorts of things. I don't think that Caitlin Clark shares enough of herself personally for her fans to have developed a parasocial relationship with her. So no, I wouldn't say that they are the same.
There we go. So with that, again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this goes back to last season. Again, they, the media, WNBA, whomever, wants the Bird and Magic storyline spilt over 30 years later, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it's not just with Angel Reese now. It's other WNBA players. And I see videos, of course, you have to look at it slow-mo, where Caitlin Clark is now the no. That's her prerogative. If that's what's your competitive spirit to get in people's head, do what you do, fine. But it's not looked at like she's doing her own thing of intimidate people or get on people's nerve or whatever. It's like she's always the victim. I don't have anything against her. Hey, she bought out of college. She earned her way to WNBA. She's doing what she does, what they pay her to do. Great. Helping the game out. You can't knock it. You got more people focused on looking at the game. All I know is just be fair. But of course, fans, especially when there's tunnel vision on one player, only one way they can be right and they can't do any wrong, they're going to see their player only for all the right. And like, she's always a victim. That's where I'm like, eh. Now, again, Angel Reese is a baller too. She's aggressive. She does her thing and she can be chippy. That's her style of play. It's her style of play. But we can name 20 other players right now in the league that's the same way. But again, yeah, Caitlin Clark is what brings the eyes to the league, apparently. She's not the only one. But, they always have to have that face of the league. And they're making sure she fits into that narrative. So it was just funny when I heard about you going back and forth with the fan or people.
No, I was not going back and forth with anybody. I didn't respond to anybody on TikTok. I didn't even have TikTok until the producer said, yo, you're blowing up on TikTok. You're going viral on TikTok. I said, why? Because I don't even have a TikTok account. And then he sent me the link. And then I'm reading the comments, and I was proven correct. For every person who said, for every white woman in the thread, or at least who had a white woman as their profile picture, who said, you can't paint us all with a broad brush. We're not all the same. You don't know all Caitlin Clark fans. There was a Caitlin Clark fan right under them who was like, who's this woman? She seems like an angry Black woman. And it's reverse racism. She hates Caitlin Clark because she's Black. And she looks like she also hates salads and treadmills. So it was like, so you want to say you're proving me wrong that her fans are not like that, when underneath each of your comments telling me that I've got it all wrong about Caitlin Clark fans, there's a Caitlin Clark fan who's calling me everything but a child of God. So read your own thread. It is before you. Are people who are saying like, oh, well, it seems like she just found out about internet trolls, or it's just trolls. Could there be Russian bots that are the only ones who are responding on NBA and ESPN channels? That's highly unlikely. Trolls are still people, right? These are still people. Even if their intention is to incite, they have grappled onto the fact that you can use Caitlin Clark to incite racist discussions. And she has never dissuaded her fan base from doing that. So regardless if people are like, I just want to be racist and this is a vehicle that will get me there, then they're using it to get them there. And it's not that like, oh, they're just trolls. Those are people who are trolling. So you can't say that it's not happening by people, that it's not people who aren't calling me overweight. It's not people who aren't calling me an angry Black woman. It is people who are calling me those things, who are fans of this lady who doesn't know they exist and could care less. I'm sure she thanks you for the 1.2 million fan votes, but she really doesn't know you, and she doesn't care if you left tomorrow, right? But you have enough venom for me to call me out in the same thread that other people are trying to convince me that that's not how y'all behave.
Make it make sense, right?
I didn't respond to anything. I made one comment that said, if you love this take, watch the whole show. If you hated this take, watch the whole show. Winky face kisses. That was all I did. I didn't go back and forth with anybody because I'm not. Like, I don't care. And they're also proving another point, because I know sports. And even on this show, we talk a lot about sports adjacent topics, but I still offer actual analysis, whether it's about players, whether it's about coaching, whether it's about contracts, whether it's about the league, those sorts of things. The thing that got people to engage the most was me talking about Caitlin Clark fans. Mm-hmm. It's not when I do actual analysis. And so in the same way that the sports leagues are going to lead with fights, and the People's Princess being pushed around yet again after she mouthed off first and they had enough. Like, if you do this for money and for views, I mean, thank you. I wish I got paid off of toxic comments. I would talk about her fans all the time. I would just come on here every day and talk about her fans. But they just prove the point that that's the action that they're into. So, and that is my, like, what we were talking about with Caitlin 2 weeks ago, which didn't go viral, of course, only me talking about the People's Princess being pushed, was that she has not dissuaded people from using her as their vehicle to racism. And I firmly believe that the people in her ear have probably told her not to say anything, because she probably would lose fans, because we've seen when other white women who have mounting popularity speak out on behalf of their Black colleagues and teammates, that some of the wind is let out of their sails. And so, yeah, I don't have a rebuttal to her haters. They are their own rebuttal. You tried to convince me her fan base is not pairable while having her fan base comment terrible stuff on my thread. So the calls coming from inside the house, Caitlin Clark fans, if you don't want people talking negatively about you, get your own. Y'all need to have like a meeting, all 1.2 million of you need to get on like a Zoom call and go over some codes of conduct or something. If y'all feel like y'all are getting a bad rap because of a few, not people, of course, it's got to be trolls and Russian bots and all this other stuff. It can't possibly be actual people who are saying those negative things. So yeah, y'all need a family meeting, and y'all can invite the People's Princess to facilitate it or make a guest appearance if that's what would help as well. And then y'all can get each other together. Because I ain't going back and forth with y'all. I don't care how many comments you make about me on there. Because like Caitlin Clark, I also don't know you, and I don't care about you. So
yeah, you put the HR hat on. You said that code of conduct. We got to do that training every year. Code of conduct, amongst the other trainings, per
code
HR.
of conduct, rules of engagement, a handbook, community guidelines, whatever y'all want to call it. Y'all need to get yourself together.
Bunny,
Do a trust fall, do some icebreakers, tell each other, grab a handful of M&Ms and tell each other your deepest, darkest secrets. Whatever y'all need to do.
Lemon squeeze, that's another one. You familiar with a lemon squeeze?
No, I haven't done a lemon squeeze, no. But I've done the like, take an M&M. Now, based on what color you got, answer this question about yourself. And so I ended up not taking any.
I never heard that one.
Okay. Yeah, they'll have like bowls of Skittles or colorful candies out, trying to lure you in to just take a snack. And then they break out some sort of color wheel that's like, if you took a pink and a yellow, you got to answer these questions. So now I bring my own snacks. I bring a Twix bar. This is chocolate. It is no color. I ain't answering no questions. Y'all don't need to know me. So whatever the Caitlin Clark fans need to do, have a get together, rent out a summer camp, bead some necklaces, braid some hair, whatever y'all need to do. That's an internal conversation for y'all to have, because the story wrote itself in that thread. As soon as someone said, well, I think she's racist because she's painting us with a broad brush, there would be somebody immediately after that who would say, well, she looks exactly like all Caitlin Clark fans do. That's just a bitter Black woman, blah, blah. So get your people. It's not me.
Wow. Well, I must say, it's a trigger behind, not you, Annie, just saying trigger. When Caitlin Clark is mentioned, and he may be Angel Reese, but not on that level to me. Like, oh my God. Anyway, I've discussed it enough to where it's like, we know what it is, unfortunately. And I hate that it has to bring race into this situation. I really do. Because it's like, all right, well, it is what it is. It means the girl could be the Jolly Green Giant, that color green. If this is how we feel, this is how we feel. That's how she's getting treated. Now you want to go the underlying part of it, then there, let's go. But here nor there.
Race has always been inexplicably intertwined with sports. There's no getting away from it. And that's fine. And if people want to have a discourse about why that is, what it does for the game, I think the comparison to Magic and Bird in some ways is apt in that it was a largely media and league generated conflict at a time where NBA views were fledgling and the league was losing in popularity. But then you get a race war going in the late 70s, early 80s, at a time where there's like heightened discussions around race and social discourse and all those things that are happening around the country. Then it makes for good TV. And so I think that's the same thing that's happening now, given the rest of the sociological zeitgeist in the country around race now. Being able to attach that to a sports story gets views and plays into the narrative. And so I think from like a marketing standpoint, it works to continue to get people to be riled up and to have these two women in particular be the lightning rods. for this racial discussion. We also saw this a lot in boxing. That happened as well, where there was a lot of like the Great White Hope stuff. And so it's been in a lot of sports where it's been positioned this way. This has been a narrative that works. It's showing that it works in the WNBA. It's shown that it works in the little microcosm of our corner of TikTok. That for as much as Annie gives you of actual real sports analysis, it's once I talk about the People's Princess that now I got mentions, I got views, I got a whole situation going on an app I just downloaded a week ago. So y'all
You say the People's Princess. Let's put a certain People's Princess. Let's say there. I'm not gonna get all people that title. Hell no. Certain people.
As a Black woman, if you said I like Caitlin Clark is my best and I'm Fandamonia, that you will catch heat for saying that over Angel Reese or whoever else. Do you feel like it comes the other way as well?
I had a guy friend tell me, he's a Black male, that he gets hate from other Black people for saying he likes Caitlin Clark. I'm like, I feel like if you look in the thread, a lot of the people who were calling me a better Black woman, all this other stuff, were other Black men. So I don't know how Black women feel about it. But some of the biggest purveyors of what this issue brings out in people are perpetuated by Black men, Black cis men in particular. So I don't think that's the element, is who is it coming from. I think the element that plays out the same racial tropes that we've been doing for forever is who are the people at the center of this, which is a white woman and a Black woman who was brought into her narrative as a juxtaposition in a way that wasn't necessary. But again, it's good for the narrative. It's good for the story they want to tell, right? Because for a lot of people, that is the origin story, is that Caitlin Clark was playing in her first college women's basketball final, and this big mean Black lady kept getting in her face doing the John Cena "you can't see me" sign, because they either selectively forget or don't know that she, one, had been doing that all year, and then two, kept doing it in the face of South Carolina, who they had met in the game before. And so what Angel Reese was doing Caitlin Clark to Caitlin Clark, because Angel Reese had never done this move. That was never her thing. It was because Caitlin Clark was doing that to to South Carolina in the game before, and getting in like Aaliyah Boston and other players' faces. Aaliyah Boston and other players' faces after she hit threes and was doing this to them and looking at the sideline, telling them like they can't guard me, blah, blah, blah. So then when LSU shut her down in the championship game, that's when Angel Reese did that. She was doing Caitlin Clark to Caitlin Clark. But for, again, either selectively or people don't know, they choose to overlook the origin of that and just see what they perceive to be Angel Reese picking on Caitlin Clark. And then it just became an opportunity that people seized on to make the both of them like that their arcs are forever intertwined together, when it really doesn't make sense. Angel Reese is not as good of a basketball player as Caitlin Clark is. If you're comparing talent to talent, that is not the player that you would be like, this is a 1v1 I would want to see. I think Angel Reese has outperformed expectations of what she could do in the league, and I think she's playing really well. And she will never get credit for the player that she is, because the narrative around her is that she's supposed to be as good as Caitlin Clark, that they're supposed to be head to head. in this.
It's in the same position, but okay.
And yeah, not even just the same position, but they're just not on the same level talent wise. And they never had been. But it was a convenient narrative for people to hold on to, and they will continue to do so. And so that's fine. My thing is, don't get on me about we're not all like that and why is she lumping us together? That's reverse racism. When you have people in the thread saying the things that I said that they say.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like,
okay.
keep reading after your comment. You'll see it.
They're just mad at themselves because they just can't be excellent at what they do. And not talking about I'm not even talking about comments. I'm just
around jealousy is like highly overrated. Like, I don't think they're jealous of me or not good at their jobs. I think I think her fans are using her as a vehicle for a lot of other sociological things that sports allows us to work out as a culture, whether it's aggression, whether it's racism, whether it's sexism, all those other things. And it's been happening across male and female sports and all those things. And so that's fine. But just because I call it out doesn't make me a reverse racist, or doesn't mean it's not true when it was in the comment immediately following yours.
The proof was in the pudding. Well, I will say this. So it's going to be a TBD of our next ladies' night. We'll see how everything pans out with the All-Star game. Any new things mentioned about this? Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, anybody else? So, but let's go ahead and segue to our next topic. But real quickly, I'll read your comment by your boy Guy. Said Caitlin Clark fans see these discussions like how referees see defense on SGA. Whatever is said or done is foul. And speaking of foul, let's talk about fouled out. This is where we discuss calling out a player, team, coach, or rule for doing something wrong or stupid. So, as that comment just mentioned, how refs are blind to how SGA getting all these free calls. Let's do fouled out. So if you have one, John, say, let me know what is somebody you want to call out. Who fouled out?
We've been hearing about Malik Beasley with the sports betting. And I'm like, bruh, why? I guess he has a reputation of messing up. So fouling out, let's say. And I'm like, this is indefinitely going to stop your money if proven guilty. But why are we even taking these chances with the situation? So he's on my fouled out this segment for this.
Oh, there we go. Okay, Mr. Beasley. Is it similar to what people have said in the past when it comes to gambling? It becomes the addiction to a disease status to where they just can't shake it, or is it just being stupid? Just curious. Because we don't have Malik Beasley's money.
It's got to be a mixture of both because, I mean.
Yeah. I think gambling's fun, and I think that athletes should be allowed to do it as long as it's not for their own sport. So
only reason I have an issue if it's to do except for not their own sport, it because I'm gonna mention about the Caitlin Clark thing. So you can have a rival, and you know how when it comes to business, your rival it becomes your teammate. So you can mention another sport, but you know these athletes are friends with other people in other sports and teams. And we don't always know. It's not always what you see in the forefront. It could be whether they did AAU, the neighbor, cousin. The lines can cross. They could just been chilling and happen to be at the same Daytona 500. So not a sport either one of them play. And they become cool with you would never expect it. And then boom. So that's my only hesitation on, well, if it's not your sport, you can do it because you don't know who's friends with whose agent is friends with an agent from another sport and they leak the info. It just gets real messy. Now we can say that could transpire to other stuff, true, but I wish you could have at it. But I'm saying as you're an active player, even if you get no playing time, that I just did that it gets real muddled because it's not going to be balanced. Everybody be able to gamble and get access to that same information.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
all
think it's muddled to have a league that you say you don't want your players to gamble in, but a gambling book is a primary sponsor of your league. They have whole segments brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. Before the game, in the bottom left-hand corner of the screens during the finals, they tell you what the betting odds were at the start of the game and where they are now, with the Pacers up 10 points with this amount to play. And so I don't want to hear that players betting is the issue when you are inviting them to be a financial partner in your sport. So
yeah,
that was
we can talk about a few things with that because betting before Caesar Sportsbook existed before national TV and CNN. You can bet on stuff that's always existed in Vegas. Let me specify in Vegas. Now it's nationwide, but I'm saying the hypocrisy is there because your athletes need to heal quickly to get back on the court to produce these points, and yet the same message y'all giving them in the locker room. I can't get off the street or from my doctor. I would be in jail. You know what I'm saying? So it's hypocrisy. Definitely, I'm not going to argue against that. But listen, in general, once money's involved, NCAA, let's just be real. NCAA, this whole NIL, listen, that college game is about to be so corrupted. It's so much money about to be thrown. It's not even funny. So more money involved, the more corruption there is, just flat out. So yeah, you're right. How you gonna have a sponsor for betting and you saying the players can't do it? Same thing like, hey, how can a fan that loves you can't get that same medicine that you're getting in the locker room right now to get out on the court?
But that's the same thing with business. Even if you have like vendors you work with, I can't go to them and do my own little side deal. So I feel like that's just common business practices.
But it also doesn't mean that you can't go to a different, like you might have if you work for Apple, you might have a non-compete to go work with Microsoft, but that doesn't mean you can't never touch software again, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't have them bet on their own sports, but if you're going to have this as a business partner, that's like saying Gatorade's the official drink of the NBA, but we can't have Gatorade on the sidelines. That's like saying the official shoe of the NBA is Nikes, but can't nobody wear Nikes on the court. Like, why do you have this as an official partner who sponsors segments, whose name is on everything, who's investing financially, but we can't use them in any way, but they're an official part of this league in the same way that Gatorade and Nikes are, which is why they drink Gatorade and play in Nikes.
Well, you know why. Money.
They might not drink that, but they getting some.
Money. But the Gatorade example, the whole, do you know the G League? That's what it's named after, Gatorade. Mm-hmm. So now Powerade is not allowed with them, but I think on the different conferences in college use Powerade. Anyway, hypocrisy is what helps make this whole little machine run from all professional sports. Hypocrisy, because if you don't have it, you don't have a league. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. Because the money is funding all of this, and who we pick and choose to give money from. Again, we can take this outside of sports. The hypocrisy. Hey, you just help somebody get better, but nope. If they can't pay, you can't help them get better. But then you can have this company make money. Like our healthcare system is prime example, but here nor there. All I know is
you still messed up. You messing up your income over some stuff that you know you ain't supposed to be doing. So why?
I just hope you get enough off the bets to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
He must not be good at it because he still ain't money. They said he like what, 8 million in the hole or something crazy. So
was it working? Look, put your HR hat on. Was it working? So that was employee, and you got caught as an employee. You got fired. Was
he
it
need to
working?
pull a Shohei Ohtani and say that it was his business manager. And he doesn't even understand the language it was being conducted in.
He can't use the language barrier though. That's helpful. Tiny.
He could hire a financial manager for whom English is their second language.
You better be Kiki Palmer there. I'm sorry, man. I don't know.
Be like, look, every time I heard him talking about stuff, he was speaking French, so I didn't know what he was doing with my money. So It wasn't me. It was him. And get somebody
What they say? Deny.
Right. Get your
You
cookies.
never do it yourself. You're never the bag man. That's
Get
what you messed
somebody else
up.
to do it. Right?
Exactly. You should never be the bag man. That's where people get caught in college football. They call all the bag men. The people who were actually like giving the money or the tractors or the cars or the jobs to people. That's who gets caught. Not the people who like orchestrated it and funded it and made it happen. So just be smarter about it. I know you got a third cousin's girlfriend and a WhatsApp channel.
You need a woman to do it, and then you won't have no problem. See, but they messed up right there. You know, we know.
We done seen enough Power, BMF, all these shows.
Listen, you never be your own bag man. That's like the first rule of the game.
Okay. And of course,
First rule is don't get high on your own supply, which is why they shouldn't bet on their own sports. Second rule is never be the bag man. So no, that was their fault.
Well, Beasley fouled out. I hope he learned his lesson, but he's gonna be out the league when he learned his lesson. You got one for us, Miss Annie? Who fouled out there?
I think we need some new coaches in the WNBA. I think having gone to the Dream Game, like their coach was messing up. Having watched other games, like it just seems to be some like very distinct coaching issues. And so I hope that that's a place where the pipeline gets stronger. I don't think there's a talent deficit in the WNBA as far as players go. And I think we'll only see that increase as the sports continue to grow. I mean, I think the other day my mom and I were talking and we were running down like who is in next year's income or who's eligible for next year's incoming rookie class. And it's like, man, if you thought this year's class was good, next year's class is going to be amazing as well. Or like watching the American team play now. Has a lot of the people who will be eligible to come out for the WNBA next year, and they like beat the one I was watching somehow. Like they like beat the Philippines by like 119 points. Like there's tons of talent from a player perspective. I hope that there is an infusion of like growing better coaches. And growing the coaching pipeline for the WNBA, because I think there's just been so many times where I've just seen coaches and I'm like, they've been the deciding factor in the games and wins and losses as much as like actual talent in play. So I'm going to say specifically the Atlanta Dream coach at the game that we saw where they lost. But I think some of the coaches in general in the WNBA.
Oh, there we go. Good one. And now I will touch on that topic next ladies' night, WNBA coaches. So I do have a fouled out. We go through this every year. I think we got like another 20 more years. July 1st every year is called Bobby Bonilla Day. Do you know why we have a Bobby Bonilla Day? Do y'all even know who Bobby Bonilla is? If not, I'll tell you. Bobby Bonilla was an all-star player back in his prime. He has a contract every year, you all. Let's see. It's $1 million. No, I'm sorry. $1.19 million he gets annually until 2035. Now, mind you, this man hasn't played in, at least specifically with the New York Mets. This is who's fouled out, the New York Mets. He hasn't played with them since 1999. However, they put in his contract, hey, we're not going to pay you all this $5.9 million salary that we owe you with 8% interest. So what we'll do, we'll just pay you $1.19 million for every year, and it's up until 2035. So Bobby Bonilla Day happens every July 1st. And that is crazy. The man, like I said, he ain't played in damn near 10 years. And he gets it until 2035, another 10 years. You talking about who really won without, I mean, he had a good career, but who really won? Because his retirement wasn't going to equate this. And on top of that, the Mets are looking stupid for this. So they fouled out with this. So yesterday was Bobby Bonilla Day. Mets fouled out. I don't think anybody ever have a contract written up like this ever again. I just say it's dumb. They said back then it wasn't. Yeah, right. It's looking dumb now. I mean, the Mets have a billionaire owner. They can have a open checkbook, so they sign players like it's nothing anyway. However many millions they want to give them, so it's a drop in the bucket to them, but it's still stupid. So they found out. New York Mets organization. Mm-hmm.
I need
I
me
don't
one of
think
them.
so. The Mets are just a firm before a firm was a thing. They're paying in installments. So they were like, we could pay all of this right now, or we could pay $1 million a year for 40 years for this thing that we want. So it also sounds like a payday loan. So I don't know who the Mets owners are, but it sounds like a real bad payday loan where in the end what you're paying is way more than what you borrowed on the principal. But yeah, they
started it.
Yeah, they just farm loan the baseball player, and those are the kinds of deals that you get in a sport that has no hard cap. So they were like, it's not that I'm not going to get the Birkin bag. I'm just going to sign up for this. I'm going to have them run my little report, see if I can get in a firm or a, what's the other one? A Klarna.
What's the other
whatever
one? Afterpay is another one too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they put Bonilla on Afterpay.
Man, they're paying much more. You go from 5.9 million owing somebody to what?
But the alternative is to not have him. For people who do Afterpay now, it's like, well, if you can't afford it, you just don't need it. And it's like, no, I can afford it. I just can afford it in 60 months of payment of $19.99.99. So they were like, we got it. We just ain't got it all up front.
Okay, that's fine. That's their story. They're sticking to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. They got a baseball player on Afterpay. Yeah. I wish that the NFL could do it. I wish there wasn't a hard cap in the NFL or the NBA. LeBron would be on Afterpay. A lot of leagues didn't have a hard cap in the NBA. You don't think some other teams would have been like, look, you don't think Cleveland would have been like, whatever you can make anywhere else, we'll quadruple it. Just let us pay it like we're Fannie Mae, and we're gonna pay 10 years, 100 straight payments of
not 100 straight payments. But similar
in other sports, but other sports have hard caps. So that's
similar, but they don't have a hard cap. The Dodgers, that's what they're doing with Ohtani's contract.
Right.
He's not getting all that up front or over here. It's deferred. Now it's not it's similar Afterpay, but not as bad. But still, it's to get them leverage and get some more people. But I mean, it's a watered down Afterpay.
Yeah, that's what you can do in a sport that doesn't have a hard cap.
Right, that's what I said.
If other sports didn't have a hard cap, we would see this for other athletes too.
Speaking of like salaries, I just saw what SGA is like the highest paid NBA player with like 285 million. I'm sorry, your SGA, I don't know about all that. Like,
you can say that when somebody gives you a championship and he did it within 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
Give you a championship if you're a star, you can get that. And that's quicker, especially when you just did it. And they can build around. I mean, this is not going to be the last championship the Thunder gets.
Okay, so he just agreed.
You get an ROI, return on your investment.
Yeah, so he just agreed to a 4-year, $285 million Supermax contract extension yesterday.
Even if he gets injured,
good for him.
Never play again. They got ROI for that 25 because they're going to increase those ticket prices in the fall, and they're going to have people want to go see the Thunder. I'm just saying they paid for that already. They got it. Trust me. And that's a small market. So if he did that out in LA or New York or Boston, shit, I'm telling you, because the fan base is bigger, people are going to. Even with the smaller fan base the Thunder has, they're going to.
I'm overrating him. Where's Guy at? Guy.
Chime on in, Guy, before we sign off, guys. Chime on in. We got our one last segment of She Got Game.
There we go. Thank you.
I ain't gonna let Guy keep saying he overrated. He is good. Y'all can't say this dude is not good. Overrated.
We didn't say he wasn't good. Overrated means that people have a higher opinion of him than his actual performance would dictate.
But
So
his
great.
stats back
He's
up what
still be
he's
overrated.
doing.
Barely.
Back
It's
up.
7 games. First of all, you said 6 too, just by the way.
Oh, I was off a game. The end game is what? They
But
won.
I'm just-
The ship is with the Thunder. And I never said like, oh, I'm the ultimate Thunder fan. I didn't hop on the bandwagon. I was just telling you they're gonna win. So let's clear that. But still, I'm off the game. The end game happened though. They're the winners, they're the champions. And you gotta rock that shirt. Accept it, honey. That's all. So she got game. Johnson, let us know who got game. What woman's doing something amazing in sports?
Let's see what's going on. She got game. Oh, I was going to shout out, since we've been talking about the WNBA, Candace Parker and the retiring of her jersey. So congrats, shouts out to her. And also to, I think I said this before, but the Williams sisters, because they're like the first Black female NFL owners, or I don't know, whatever, part owners for the Miami Dolphins. So I love me some Serena, so I'll shout them out. So
Okay. All right, what about you, Miss Annie? Who got game? Or she got game?
I would say Coco Gauff, even though she lost yesterday.
No.
She won the last major that happened, and got, caught in another like probably overblown media drama in terms of the number one player in the world, whose name I'm forgetting, but basically saying that basically all the reasons in the world why Coco Gauff won, other than Coco is a great player. And then Coco then had to answer questions about what that woman said and all those things. And it was just it completely overshadowed how great she was in that tournament. And just how she has not been, I think part of what we saw with, dang, why am I forgetting her name? Osaka, was that she won early, and I think people saw a second coming of dominance, and she hasn't really won again since, and for different reasons. But I think Coco Gauff recently winning this second major shows that she has staying power. She's kept her rank at number 2 in the world. And so really excited to see her continue to be a lasting face in the tennis world. And they make bank in terms of actual salaries. I think last year Coco Gauff was the highest earning female athlete, not based on endorsements, but just based on actual winning from your sport. And so, I think that's dope. I think, I think the coverage has been a little light around her and what she's been doing. So just wanted to shout her out because she's doing great. She's playing well.
Yes.
Awesome. I forgot to mention this a month ago, but it's not recent, but she still gets props from me. The agent of Mr. Jalen Hurts, his agent's name, shout out to Nicole Lynn of the Clutch Sports team. Nicole Lynn is the first Black woman to represent an NFL quarterback. And y'all know she got that man his coins, okay? So she's doing great things, and I hope her portfolio expands just off of having a Jalen Hurts as one of her players. But shout out to her, y'all. That I forgot how much his bag was. I was trying to look it up real quickly, but she did the.
While you're looking that up, that's where I think jealousy does come in, is with Jalen Hurts. I think I've heard so many guys be like, he ain't that fine. I don't even see what everybody's talking about. That is jealousy. If you can't look at Jalen Hurts and see that man is fine, that is in your heart. You are jealous of that man. Okay, he is beautiful by any standards. I don't care what you're into. He exceeds it. So that is where I don't think there's jealousy from WNBA players around Caitlin Clark's All-Star votes. I think there's jealousy among men who cannot acknowledge that Jalen Hurts is fine.
That's the real resentment right there.
Right.
That's
Right.
the real test of resentment is ask a man if he thinks Jalen Hurts is fine. And if he says anything but an emphatic yes, you know
Jealous.
you're dealing with a man that has jealousy in his heart. Do you really want to do that? Are you about to end up in a Mike Brown, New York Knicks toxic relationship?
Oh, wow.
This test.
I'm gonna start saying that. Are you in that Mike Brown Knicks toxic relationship? Man, that's what you on. I don't want no part of that. That's funny. She said that jealousy with the Jalen Hurts haters out there.
That's where the jealousy is real. It's for men who can't acknowledge.
Where's those fans of talking about people hating on him? Let's hear that. But anyway, that's another topic for another show. Last but not least, of course, ladies, you know we run this, right? So if y'all were GM, owner, president, the head person in charge of an organization or sport, what would you change?
I'm not gonna say I would change it, but this was something I was thinking about because again, we've been talking about the WNBA, and I personally didn't realize so many people, couples are on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I think the story just broke about, I can't think of her name, but
Paige Beckers. Was it Paige Beckers?
No, somebody got traded to the Aces. I think they play for Dallas, but I can't think of her name. I'll have to look at my chart. But anyway, it's a lot of couples that play together on the same team in the WNBA. And do we think that should be allowed or not?
That's gonna get messy because you can be in a relationship today, and next thing you're not in a relationship, and then you get a new relationship. They can't keep up with the relationships if it's, you can't be in a relationship. I know similar to like with management. You have a direct report, you cannot be in a relationship together. They want to move you to a different team.
Right.
I get that. But I mean, you could try it, but it's a lot more money involved because of those contracts. It's different when you're talking about not the sports level where we don't have contracts involved, moving somebody to a different department or a team. But with these contracts, some other team may not want it. They may not want that player. I mean, you could. Hey, HR had Annie. Can that be possible? It could. You just tell me.
Yeah, because we're the same level. Yeah.
But I'm looking at it with a competitor because I'm not in a relationship, and then I'm in a relationship with you, and then I'm not. You're going to keep trading me if I keep messing around with other people on my team?
I don't think they should be allowed to move people around just because they're in relationships with people or those relationships ended. I mean, mind your business. And you just know that as like a WNBA coach, that is a factor that is not as likely in the NBA in terms of doing the people stuff, right? Because I know this. I could love you to pieces. I would never work with my spouse or my partner.
I was gonna say, how's that working with your spouse?
Yes, couples that run businesses together. I'm like, this is too much of you.
But what are they doing right now, though? Our producer,
we left home together. We showing up to work at the same place. Then we got to go home at the same time. I need to not see you. I would probably ask for a trade.
But I'm a producer and our panelists.
I love working with my spouse. No.
Yeah, but say she stopped her way with to the top and it worked for her. So I'm not
right. Worked my way on the show. Yes, I did.
Right. Right. And look, and I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Hey.
And I love it.
But I was just wondering, like, what if y'all break up and y'all are playing on the same team? Does that cause friction? Because I met you today, and I
like fought in the locker room, like fought their partners or their ex partners in like the locker room before. Wow. That's not a new thing for the WNBA. Like they've been doing that, and so yeah, it's gotten messy sometimes. Yeah. I mean, again, if this is your sports entertainment where you like drama, like that's the real tea in the WNBA. Don't try to convince me that some people are jealous of Caitlin Clark because she's injured and missed half the games, but you think that they should still make her first place. I want to hear about these players playing with their partners. And then the thing about it is that for a number of them, they'll break up with one partner and then date somebody else who's in the league. And so then you have people like exes going up against the new girl in the game. And it gets a little like that's the tea I want to hear. Because that is a unique feature of the sport that I think is entertaining. If people want to talk about that and pass out relationship charts, the game to be like, here's who dated who, and they're going up against other
the HR in me was torn when I was like, oh, I really didn't realize it was happening so frequently that a lot of couples are on the same team, and I'm like,
love it,
love it
for them. Love it for them. Like I said, I could never work with my partner. We would have to pick one. Either we're going to be teammates or we're going to be in a relationship. We cannot do both all day. I need to not see you somewhere. But yeah, no, I love it. I wish they leaned into it more. I want to know because I want the tea. Like I love Courtney Williams and Dejanay Carrington. I think they used to play together. I don't think they play together now. Well, I know they don't play together now. I don't know if they used to play together, but like, then I want to see them go against each other if they break up.
Yeah, they can't leave that stuff on the court. They don't know how to leave it and go home. No, they stuff boiling on the locker room, on a car ride, text message. I know it. Ooh, wait.
Speaking of petty, I would be like, that elbow is for you not unloading the dishwasher, just so you know. Just so you know, you put a wet towel on the bed. You nasty. So you gonna push this foul.
Yeah, Nalisa Smith, that's who got traded to the Aces. And so her girlfriend, yeah. So now they talking about they heartbroken because they have to play for different teams now.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the game.
You know, for some people, they would play better. They become better people when they're with their person. And they're like, I can excel because this person is here and they know me better and they will push me and they will motivate me. And I will look across the court and see them and know what I'm playing for. And I would just be like, oh, this again.
Why are you here?
Today and the day before. I can't get away from you. I'm about to get an injury. I need some time away, okay? So, yeah.
Hilarious.
I know, right? I wasn't expecting that one. But that was a good one, I must say. So, yeah, you got access to people in the media. Annie, please work on that. Not a reality show, but you can do a scripted show on teammates who are also in relationships.
I want a 40 for 40. That's just like I want a Hard Knocks, but for relationships in the WNBA, where we just follow couples at home and then we see them like on the court, and then like the team. Like I would watch that over like Hard Knocks Raiders again. Like Lord. So give me that Hard Knocks, ESPN. Let's follow the couples. It'll be like the ultimatum queer love meets the WNBA.
I like this. Netflix, Peacock, yeah.
Yes.
We can.
Hey, this is intellectual property. Get that patented so we can sell it to somebody. Okay.
Let's get Niecy Nash Betts to serve as like a pseudo counselor for them. Yeah, I'm here for
good. I'm tuning in. What time it come on?
You're right.
Intellectual property to one of these networks, honey. Let's go with it, honey. We on the something.
I love
it. Shoot, that tea gonna be so piping hot watching that show. I'm like, shoot, I need to get a recipe.
Better than Basketball Wives, right?
Right. Absolutely, I would love that.
Oh my God, this was a great show, y'all. Did I miss anything? Did I miss something?
That's what I would do if I ran it. I would have the ultimatum queer love meets WNBA hosted by Niecy Nash Betts reality TV show. That's what I would do.
This is good.
You can do, and then the other part of that, we could do a reality show with just the people who are couples. They're not playing on the team. So let's just use the guys for instance, and then with the lives the women go through, because we know a lot of stuff going on, side pieces, underground babies, over the top, with just not basketball wives though, not that. It's just literally these people, and then how their kids got to get adapted when they have to move or when they get traded. Like, because I was always wondering how that worked out. Did they move to every city or anyway? But that's something that had me interested in. But here nor there, ladies.
All right, TikTok, if you're mad at me again, use your anger to hit up Niecy Nash Betts and tell her to call me so we can get this deal done.
Right.
Talking about, honey.
But I ain't wearing no t-shirt about Caitlin Clark fans were right or none of that stuff. Even no. Nash Betts, y'all still wrong.
That's fine. Just know wrong. That t-shirt is the bomb because Bunny was right. And on that note,
okay?
I'm listening. The producer got screenshots of this. He zoomed in on this.
I'm gonna give it to your husband. He can have it after this.
Girl, he gonna be like, yeah, she's sometimes right. I'm like, I don't care. We don't wear this until we can't see the letters on it no more, okay?
Broken clocks, blind squirrels, Bunny's takes on the NBA finals. It's bound to happen and be right at some point.
I'm glad everybody got the memo. Great show. And shout out to our other panelists who are still in, what do you call it? Recovering mode of having a newborn baby Clark. Hey, Jobo and the fam. Just giving you shout out for Ladies Night. Can't wait for you to join us back in a few months. Of course, it's the first Wednesday of the month, so it's Ladies Night. But in the middle of the month, second, third, fourth Wednesday is the regular show, Platform Sports Talk Show. Last Wednesday of the month, we have the Man Cave where the fellas hold it down. I mean, they think they know some, but hey, y'all see this show tonight? You know the ladies run it, okay? Ladies Night was where it's at. And also, we're on Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot. And you can catch replays of our most recent show each Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And all social media platforms, Platform Sports Talk Show, and specifically on YouTube. You should subscribe and do what? Click that bell, because anytime we are live, you will be notified. And if you have any guests or anybody you're interested in seeing on the show, please send us an email, platformsportstalkshow@gmail.com. We would love to have them. And for everyone that's tuned in, can't wait to see you all next Wednesday on the regular Platform Sports Talk Show. Until then, have a great night and a great week. Peace.
What you have just experienced was brought to you by Smoooth Productions. Until next time, stay tuned and stay smooth.